Hello there, World of Tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, World of Blitz, and in today's video, I'll be playing in the most useless Tier 8 in the game, the IS Touche. Now, if you think it's kind of goofy I'm saying Touche, I thought so too, but some Russian viewers who watch the channel have confirmed that that is apparently the correct way of pronouncing the vehicle's name, so that's what we're going to call it. Either way, the IS is an absolutely goofy vehicle. It features a rear turreted design, yet has awful side-scraping capabilities, a frontal plate that's only about 230 millimeters effective, side armor that, I mean, even if you're angled properly, sucks, and a turret that would be better at Tier 7 than at Tier 8. It's really the worst Tier 8 Soviet heavy. The only things that are cool is, first of all, it does feature better aiming time than all the others at 4.5 seconds, which I guess is alright. Now, we are going to be running Refined Gun, but it does have better aiming time. That is without a doubt. Even with Refined, it's still 4.8 seconds. Compare that to, like, the K2, for example, and you're looking at, like, 5.6 seconds. So there's a big difference between the two vehicles. Not only that, but this tank also has 7 degrees of gun depression, which is weird, because, well, it's rear turreted, and you wouldn't expect a rear turreted vehicle like this to have 7 degrees, but it does. So those two things are rather interesting and do make the vehicle somewhat unique. But that's where the good things stop. As I said, the armor sucks, and it doesn't have much going for it anywhere else. But in the latest update of the game, Wargaming has changed the vehicle quite a bit, and now it features a whole plethora of consumables. You have tungsten, you have super speed boost, you have reactive armor, and you have adrenaline. I have decided to go with tungsten rounds and reactive. Tungsten is great because it allows you to out-trade opponents, even if you have the same base damage per shot. So let's say I'm shooting at an enemy IS-5, and we both have 400 damage per shot. Well, if the IS-5 shoots me, and he's going to roll 400 on average, and I put on my tungsten, I can essentially turn my 400 alpha into like 470, meaning that I will out-trade him by 70 damage a shot. That's quite big. That's the difference of an IS-7 and a Chieftain Mark 6. Also, sorry, my voice died there. Whenever I drink soda, my voice kind of just like, I don't know if you guys have that, but it kind of like coats your throat, and it's like, either way, we're going to see what we can do in the IS Touche. Now, I'm not going to say I hate this tank, but I'm not going to say I like it either. It is definitely one of my least favorite Soviet heavies in the tier. Nice shell into the enemy Pharaoh, though. Pretty good. You can see the aiming time on this tank definitely feels a bit more adequate compared to, you know, an IS-5 or an IS-3 Defender. Oof. The IS-3 Defender has one of the worst guns in terms of aiming time in the game. So, we can actually... Oh, a Tiger is in front. Unfortunately, great example of the accuracy on this vehicle. It's still bad. It's a Soviet heavy. If the gun was actually accurate, I think this tank would be rather fun. But it's not. It's pretty inaccurate. Well, let's aim it on the E10. Let's put on our tungsten, and I'm also going to put on our reactive. We're just going to kind of chill here, and we'll see if he pens us. He does, but thankfully with reactive armor on, we don't really take too much damage. We do have a lot of health. That's the nice thing about all heavy tanks in Tier 8, is that they have a huge amount of health for the tier that they sit at. I've always liked that. You can easily trade with Tier 7s, and when you pair that with the fact that this thing obviously hits pretty hard, it's not too bad in that type of situation. So we get a nice 300 damage shot into the enemy Tiger P. We're going to reload again. E10 shoots the Tiger P. We got 3 seconds left, and Tiger P shoots, so we're going to bonk him again. Another awful roll. Even though we do have tungsten, it seems like our shells are not enjoying us too much. That's something you will notice about this tank, is that it has an absolutely awful driver. I'm not sure if we're going to notice that today, but this tank's driver loves to die, and it can be rather infuriating when it does. But not a bad result so far. The enemy team is getting absolutely bled out, and we're definitely going to win this, so I can't really get too mad. The armor did okay. I think we got like 1 bounce this game. I mean, using gun depression, you can get some bounces because of the way it kind of works. It's goofy, but you definitely can get bounces using gun depression. We're just going to drive up here. We're going to activate our reactive armor, and it's going to make it very hard for that Pharaoh to bleed us out. And there you go. 400 damage shot, only rolled 295. So you can see again where this tank does feel kind of cool in that type of situation. So we're going to push the Pharaoh. We're going to get an easy clearing shell into his tank, and now we're going to chill right here. So let's see if that BZ's going to try and YOLO me, or what is he going to do? Well, I'm just going to move this way like so, and we're going to put on our tungsten. Bonk, there you go. 500 damage shot. He's probably... Oh, what a skill issue. That was really lucky. I mean, in the back of my mind, I was kind of hoping he would do that, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. But it did. It indeed did. All right, well, let's just back up, and there you go. Beautiful. I don't know how we managed to get a bounce there either, but that's the IS-2, I guess. We won. We did a decent result, and we probably did over 3,000 damage. Let's find out. 35-45. So... what do I think of this vehicle after the changes to its consumables and overall equipment? Well, I'm actually going to say it's a decent tank. As much as I meme on this vehicle and as much as I try to diss on it, tungsten and reactive on a tier 8 is huge. It really is. When you combine them together, not only do you have the ability to out-trade whatever is in front of you, but you also have the ability to then take away more of the damage they're dealing. So, I deal what? 15% more damage. And then the enemy deals 27% less damage. So if we round that up to 30%, essentially, you have a 45% damage difference between whoever you're shooting at. And that is huge. So I can literally roll up to a tank that has 500 damage per shot, and then he'll roll like 390, 380 on me. And then in return, I can shoot back for, like... did I say 390? I don't know. Either way, I'll always out-trade a tank that even has higher alpha than me as long as I have my reactive, which is really, really cool. We have a little bit of support from our 112 too, which is alright. I'm going to chill here. I don't want to stick out my hull like this, but at the same time, because of the way this wall is angled, it is very awkward to work this position. Really, 112? Like, you had so much room there to work your tank, and you decided to drive me into a wall, bruh. Alright, well, we do have a 252. I'm going to put on my reactive, however, didn't matter as he managed to bounce me anyway. We're going to just push up here. I think that I can push the 252 off. We're going to move up, and we're going to activate our tungsten, and there you go, nice 458 shell, pretty good stuff. Let's get into a side scrape. We'll see how this tank can do in that type of situation. I'm obviously not going to poke him until I have the shot. Well, actually, if our teammate just drives out, he's just going to poke it for me. There you go. Another 467 shot. Again, tungsten's great. It really is. The fact that we just took about, you know, 900 off instead of what normally would have been 800, possibly even low rolls, is absolutely massive. And now we're just going to, well, we're going to even on the hatch of the 252. Okay. Perfectly on the hatch. You can even see the marker right on it, and yet it bounces. That's just a classic wargaming moment there. I would have the gun depression to work the spot, but unfortunately the 112-2 is just kind of taking it up, which is a little disappointing. But there you go. And a great example of the low rolls that you can get when you're not using tungsten. 330 is pretty tragic. Alright, well, let's aim it on the Tiger. I'm going to get a free bonk into him, but, man, there goes our driver. Remember I said in the previous game our driver dies constantly? Well, there you go. And that's going to suck a lot. That's actually going to really, really suck, because now we can't move for, like, the next year. Okay, well, oh well. We got the T-49. We have the SMV. I'm just going to put on my... well, that works. There you go. 477 damage shell. And that SMV only did 100 damage to us with a 220 alpha gun. Again, the armor on this tank might not be great, but the reactive definitely helps out quite a bit. We only lost 300 in there. However, we're still definitely struggling, mainly because of the fact my driver's dead. I don't understand why the driver on this tank has to die every second. It is so incredibly annoying. Alright, well, we are going to back up. We're going to activate our tungsten, and there you go, get a nice 470 damaging shell into the Cheery. We are going to lose this, but I really can't complain about this tank. We did a pretty solid result. We are going to at least get out some damage here. We got a bounce from the Cheery, another 480 damaging shell ourselves. And, well, let's see what we can do. We got the Super Hellcat on the rear. And what I'm hoping is that we can pull forwards here. We can aim it on the Cheery's hatch. Oh, well, or not. Or I lied. Or we're going to miss... oh, well. I mean, we did over 3K anyway. And there was no way we were ever going to win this game. As I said, dead driver happens way too often on this tank. And it's actually the most irritating thing ever. I don't know why the driver dies so much, but... it's at least once on average a game you have to use your repair kit for a dead driver, which is very disappointing because when you only have one repair kit because you're trying to run everything else, it can be a little awkward. And you'll also notice, even though the tank has 7 degrees of gun depression, it's kind of weird to use the 7 degrees. Like in that last game we just played there, I had to actually expose my hull 2 times because unfortunately my 112-2 is kind of taken up the spot we could have been able to use our gun depression on. It's not that big of a deal. We still did fine and plenty of damage, but just a great example of why this tank is so awkward. But again, I can't really complain about its performance. It did plenty of damage, the gun worked, and we did alright. The only actual trolling we had was on the roof of the IS, or not the IS, the 252U, but that wasn't even really the tank's fault, was it? You guys like root beer? Root beer is my favorite. Great value root beer from Walmart. Buy it. I wish Walmart would sponsor me. Absolutely goated root beer. Alright. Let's make our way up. Oh, we got the rev. Look at that. Low roll, only 360, but it is still a damaging shell, which is obviously the most important thing possible. Now, the enemy BZ-68 is running the 130mm, which is good and bad at the same time. The good is that it's not going to deal like 8 billion damage to me. Also, that is a juicer. 568 damage HE into the Scorpion because we had our tungsten activated with a high explosive. Tungsten HE is one of the nastiest combinations you can get in the game. I mean, think about it. You're literally not only shooting a tungsten shell at your opponent, but you're also shooting it with a high explosive bundled in. It is absolutely devastating, and you do not want to mess with it. Well, that was rather sad. That should have penned, but oh well. Let's reload. The Scorpion is dead, which is good. But our team's not doing great. Got the rev in the back. And with the BZ shooting, I'm just going to drive right over. We're going to aim it on his lower plate. There you go. Unfortunately, the Type 68 is apparently not doing much. So we weren't actually able to get too much out. Alright, let's reload. And I'm not able to shoot you, but we do have the Type 68 on the side. There you go. Another low roll. We are not getting high rolls here. Okay, well, our T-30 has finally died. Our team really needs to pick up their pace on the other flank over here because they are not doing a great job. We got the BZ in front of us, and I'm just going to try and kind of hold off the BZ. Hopefully he doesn't bonk us, but if we can just waste his time, that'll obviously be huge. I can't pen him. That's my heat. That's 300 mils of heat. Can't do anything to the BZ. Shows you just how much armor that tank has. It's kind of crazy. Well, we got the Hori, and another awful roll from our tank there. Rather disappointing. We are, well, I was going to say going to activate my reactive, but it didn't really do much there. Well, got the Hori, and only shoots me for 260. Then we hit him back for 500. So pretty good stuff. Again, it's hard. Like, you can't deny that tungsten is really, really dangerous on a vehicle like this. It allows you to get out incredibly dangerous bleeds. And we could actually win this. Our team's not doing great, but they're also not doing awful right now. We are at 800 on base cap, and that's obviously pretty good. Got the BZ in front, and there you go. BZ over pokes. We get a nice 370 damage shell ourselves. The SU steps into the base cap, which is actually quite important. And I'm just going to push the BZ at this point. We're going to see if we can get a bleeding shell out. There you go. 397. I've got my finger on my repair kit so we can fix anything he does to us. And all that's left is the SU-101 and the Sumwa. Alright, well, let's reload and let's see if we can get a shell. I'm going to go for the Samwa. There you go. 408. And there you go. That's a win. Pretty good stuff, actually. 3,700 damage. So, what do I think of this tank? If I were to rate it out of 10, I'd give it a 7. It's definitely not amazing. You can drive a 252, a Skoda T56, or really the majority of heavies, and you'll do probably better. But I do have to say that the reactive armor paired with 7 degrees of gun depression and a pretty solid gun compared to the rest of the Soviet heavies is actually rather fun. And I had a decent chunk of fun when playing in the tank for all 3 games today. These were back-to-back battles, as you can see. All of them over 3,000 damage and surprisingly good. So yeah, maybe this tank isn't as bad as I thought it was. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Obviously, if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.